A mystery, a fable, or a tale of cosmic karma. The genre of this play is uncertain, which adds to its drama. It's set when 95% of England as a nation, the millions of Smiths like Eva in its population, had less than 5% of the sum total money stash, cause a few like Arthur and Gerald had trousered all the cash. It's set under 5 years before the First World War, when the rich lived on a different planet to the poor. The playwright wrote it shortly after World War II, when his dreams of a New England they were coming true. But as we witness Eva's wretched life unravel, we sense how far society needed to travel. We sense Inspector Gould make a massive impression on Sheila and on Eric, who learn from his lesson. We sense they hope to change things as a younger generation, but their elders' greed makes us feel indignation. Their irresponsibility is worse than beastly to the audience and reader, suggests J.B. Priestley. When 5% owns 95% of the land's wealth, it's fatal for society's well-being and health. Though Gerald tries to hide behind moneyed respectability, this doesn't stop Gould thinking he's above inspectability. 'Cause Sheila realises he inspected us all right, no matter what their status. Arthur wants to be a knight. He's cosy with the powerful in Brumley town. He keeps raising his prices while he keeps his costs down. And whether you call such greed avarice or avarice, his greed ultimately exacts its own high price. He plays golf with the chief constable and Joe Megates, the alderman who is sexually predatory. The rich and influential figures cannot be excused. Their positions are corrupted, their privileges abused. A spider's web of nastiness enwebs this neighbourhood, in which the major players solely think of their own good. And these are the connections that the inspector exposes. He breaks them down and in their place. Instead, the play proposes a different connectedness, symbolised by a chain. The chain of events, crushing Eva underneath its strain. The socialist chain that says we're all members of one body, responsible for one another like a loyal squaddy. But Arthur thinks it's dumb to be like bees in a hive. He thinks that dog eat dog's the law of staying alive. Pre-World War I, this social Darwinian type of feces was influencing influential humans in our species. Inspector Gould scours corruption, his questioning expectant, applying what remained from Eva's deadly disinfectant. The chain in this play's neither about ownership nor bling, nor push for higher profits, nor Gerald's engagement ring. At first, Sheila says, "Mummy, look, why, isn't it a beauty?" She later spurns its falsehood to engage in social duty. She spurns Sybil's class snobbery and learns to love her neighbour, insisting that the poor are people rather than cheap labour. Her brother Eric also comes round to her way of thinking once he's matured and sobered up from laddishness and drinking. He dares to question Arthur's pompous certainty and rages. He says, "We charge top dollar, why shouldn't they want higher wages?" The working person's average wage 100 years ago compared to today's minimum wage was much more low. We hate Arthur and Gerald because in our hearts we know their duty to higher prices maintains a bad status quo. As well as tension, the repeated slamming of the door reminds us of the boundary between the rich and poor. Charlie Brunswick can leave his flat for whole months at a time to visit Canada while Eva lives on the bread line. The rich think that good times are guaranteed to last for good, but Gould threatens them if they don't want anguish, fire and blood, to redistribute evenly the pieces of the pie, to be prepared to share, to change, adapt, or they will die. We can see Ghoul's inspecting role as conscience, even ghost, attacking those who disregard his messages the most, like Sybil Burling, chair of Brumley's Women's Charity. You'd spell her ending with an H and starting BITC. Like Arthur, they're control freaks practicing their tyranny. The play makes victims of them with dramatic irony. When she says, "Blame the father," and he says, "Well, not a chance," because her son could not keep his feelings inside his pants, because the backwards time frame makes Arthur look like a fool, their arrogance condemns them as guilty and criminal. As Eva Smith's the victim of their combined degradation, these villains are the victims of our total alienation for doing jack to help a faller up from off the floor when benefits and welfare didn't exist to help the poor. When women's opportunities for jobs, qualifications, and equal chances to succeed faced wholesale limitations. The play ends with a phone call, and it feels like boom selector, the promise of another visit from a police inspector. Will anyone face charges, prison, ruin, and disgrace? Will Ghoul return, or like a phantom vanish without trace? What sympathy can readers have for those who chose to think Ghoul was a hoax? Let's crack some jokes and have another drink. The cliffhanger ending makes the outcomes tricky to foretell, but to us, Arthur, Gerald, Sybil are guilty as hell.